I start typing sometimes, yeah, I end up being in Spotlight search, typing in there.
You might be hitting that little search button. I hate typing on a. I can't type on a Mac. That's why I carry my um. I carry my portable keyboard with me everywhere I go. Okay, we're live. So those of you that are joining in early, I need y'all to give me an audio check because we are at the hotel, and so we are
We're mobile.
mobile. Correct.
We have shitty Wi-Fi usually here.
And we're on the good stuff now. So here's hoping all of our fingers and toes crossed.
Been
Will
on the
work.
good stuff. We've been on the good stuff here before, though. We've
Yeah,
had
yeah.
numerous issues. Huh.
Oh, all right. Felton J says good. So just let us know. Make sure that we're both kind of on the same level.
FYI, I'm not live TikTok.
You have to you are live.
I am live. Party has how to avoid truck scams. Don't be a driver. I just lost my audio.
Muting myself.
You did me too.
Okay. Chris is a little quiet. Is that I
No,
can I
that is
can
absolutely a lie. Chris is never a little
turn
quiet.
mine I'm gonna turn mine up just a hair. I tried to err on the side of caution. And I'm also
Now,
trying to talk directly into the mic so that
when we're here, we're in the same room, and so we have a problem with mics bleeding over each other. So we're trying to be quiet, and that's difficult for both of us, as you can probably imagine.
I've got some filters enabled. I'm hoping that's going to help. So got good.
You're telling me there's a filter I can buy that will filter you?
No. Okay.
Rocky's question to you.
Oh yeah, that's Kyle.
Kyle?
No. North Florida MD alignment is Rocky. Blue ribbon maintenance is Kyle. Oh, let me. All right, we got 2 minutes yet. Oh,
Robert Solano, we use Landstar van trailers. We have our own or trailers that we lease from other truck owners for platform.
Wish I had. I'm so used to my board over here that where my mute button is, where if I sneeze or cough or whatever, in a different spot. All right, one more women. Yep. Yes, Robert. We've run an extensive test on owning a van trailer versus using the Landstar pool, and the drop and hook makes it no, I mean, no bueno.
It tips the scale really, really heavy on using it. The maintenance costs and whatnot already justify it, but the drop and hook just makes it a no brainer.
All right, it is 8 o'clock. Let's get started. Good evening, lunatics. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. This is 219. It is August 30th. Lord have mercy, where has 2024 gone? It's almost September, which I'm
Well,
ready
not,
for September because my ass is completely and thoroughly roasted, melted, overheated. I have had enough of this heat. It is offensive. It is unacceptable.
and oppressive.
I've absolutely had enough. I've had all I can handle, and I'm ready. They're supposed to drop into the 80s tomorrow, so that means tomorrow it's going to be here what it is in Europe, and they're having a complete meltdown. You know that they can't believe it's gotten to like 82 degrees, and they're all going to surely die before the end of the day. Um, I'd love to, have a maximum high of about 82. That would be outstanding. Um, I have been sick all week. I've soldiered through some days and others not. So I'm going to try to be quick on the mute button, keep the sniffs and coughs and the sneezes away. I'm almost over it. It's completely ravaged the rest of my house now. So they're all at death's door. So just working to get through this and still have a voice.
I had an idea, Chris. We could just put the entire shop floor in sand, and you think you're at the beach. You pay extra to go there. You shouldn't be bitching about it being hot up here. Then
Yeah, I think I'll pass on that. Uh, I got enough of that when we were sweeping the floor the other day. So if you have not seen yet, we oops, I've hit the wrong button. There we go. We released our second shop vlog last night at 8 o'clock. Those will come every Thursday at 8 p.m. We are collecting video and content throughout the week. What Kyle is doing in the shop. I'm there when I can to assist, and we're just trying to, you know, utilize that content the best we can so that you see what's going on. But it's been obviously that most of what we did this week was just cleaning and preparing the shop and getting it ready. Had to move, well, had to clean, had to build shelves, had to move trucks and tools. I mean, so we had 3 or 4 solid days in just preparing the shop for us to use. So, but it's been, so the new address, we're in the same general facility that we were. We're just not inside the CAMS video right now. Video CAMS. I was looking at the word video. We're not inside the CAMS building. We're in a separate building in the same general compound. It's 2201B, Bravo, 2201B, 6th Avenue in Charleston. I'm working on getting the Google listing, but I've got to get some signage up on the doors because they like to see signage. So
if you go to the old address, just turn around and look, and you'll see the new shop.
yeah,
You're not going to go to the wrong place.
yeah,
You're
it's
just going to be behind the new shop.
yeah. So we're still there in the same location, and of course you can come and get your max mileage OPS filters, OPS lab kits, um,
MD alignments,
I'm trying to
diesel
think of
force
the other
plate.
Pittsburgh Power Flashpoint. All that is in stock there. Just pay for it on the website. Make sure that you select local pickup. That way there's no shipping charged. You go to the website, you pay for it. All you have to do is swing by. We're there, 9 to usually 7, but CAMS is 24/7. So there's generally someone there up until midnight. So if you want to pay for your OPS products, max mileage, flashpoint, and you want to swing through Charleston after hours, someone will generally be up there until midnight, where you could retrieve your product. We are sponsored by Pittsburgh Power. They've been friends for a very long time. We've been using their products for a very long time. And, people always ask me about, what do you think of max mileage? And I say, we swear by it. We will not run a truck built after 2004 without it, because it is essential. It is a product that I'm comfortable saying is essential to operating a diesel truck with emissions, is using the Pittsburgh Power catalyst. Anyone that has used it and used it correctly, you have to use it in every tank, which means you have to create a new habit. As a part of your fueling process, you have to put the right amount in, not too much and not too little, but you have to use it correctly. And if you will use it correctly, you will have fewer emissions problems. We also do diesel force cleanings now. So you can come through, you can set an appointment on our website. You can come through, we'll do the diesel force cleaning. We highly, 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 highly recommend that as a part of that service, you have your filters pulled and sent to DPF Alternatives to be cleaned. The diesel force cleaning will go through the engine and get all of the soot and all of the deposits and clean everything inside, but it will not do anything about the ash. The ash can only be gotten out through the DPF Alternatives process. So we highly recommend that if you've got a newer truck with more than 250,000 miles and you've never serviced it, you need to get it cleaned completely, get your filters pulled, have them serviced, which will check also the integrity of your one box or your, I don't know that Peterbilt or a PACCAR has a name for their box, but it's a box.
I got a name for it.
Yeah, don't we all?
It ends in box, but it starts with a different letter.
Right. Yeah. But
Now let me add something, Chris. If you use the max mileage catalyst once you get your DPF filters cleaned, then DPF Alternatives guarantees that those filters will not have to be cleaned again as long as you own the vehicle. That's huge. It also is a big, big testimony as to the effectiveness of the max mileage.
Yep.
So it's a complete sort of a package thing that you need to do, but it will eliminate all of your emissions issues with regens and lights flashing at you on the side of the road. We have, not us, we are utilizing it, but we have found people who have solved the problem of emissions in these newer trucks. And so it makes it now a viable option to the point where we're actually looking at creating the Lunatic 2.0 truck, which will be an emission truck, probably a 17 or 18 or later Cascadia with a DD15. That's still in process, but that's what we're looking at. But we couldn't even consider doing this prior to the aftermarket coming up with these solutions. And but that's no longer an issue. We don't even consider that. Now when we're looking at trucks, we don't even worry about the emissions in these things that are after 2015, because we know that they can be resolved.
Willie Cox 95 on TikTok asks, how much does the cleaning usually cost? We're at 290,000 miles, and the shop says got to get it done soon. The cost of the diesel force cleaning is $1,850 plus an oil change. The cost for and I don't have a list memorized. I need to get Chase to print me something out. As far as what it costs to, because we have labor time and pulling the filters. If we get them down there by, I think it's 2:30 in the afternoon, they'll have them back the following morning. So the turnaround time is quick. You also, there's an asterisk that we always need to put in here. The diesel force cleaning does an amazing job going through the engine, but it can make a sensor or two go crazy. Um, so um, after the process is done, we do a parked regen on the truck, which burns all of that cleaning solution and everything out. But we have seen on occasion that a sensor will not like what it has just gone through, and so there may be a sensor or two that gets changed um, after the fact. But 1850 plus an oil change, then whatever cost it is to have the filters sent to DPF alternatives and brought back.
Now, for clarification, we do not do the DPF alternatives and the DPF filter cleaning. We have a partner here in Hurricane called DPF Alternatives. They're nationwide. We happen to have a very good franchisee here named Chase. That's who Chris referred to. But they will come pick them up from us, bring them back the next day, cleaned, ready to go, with a full lifetime warranty if you will use the catalyst going forward after that. So
Right.
that's a huge, huge, huge thing.
Um, yeah. So, um, yeah, it's Mike Barton. Lunatic 2.0 should never be a PACCAR. You've been warned. Mike, you're preaching to the choir, my friend.
I didn't say what I said. A 2016 and later Cascadia with a DD15 is what I said.
Yeah.
PACCAR did not come out of my mouth. So, but
Now,
thanks for warning us. But we realize that.
as far as Cummins goes, um, you know, it's a little slightly less terrifying thought of using um, a PACCAR truck with a Cummins engine. The Cummins is more manageable. The PACCAR, for me, as someone who has operated trucks as long as I have, um, the um, the PACCAR's engine is an absolute 100%. No, thank you. I'll pass. Absolutely not.
The PACCAR for me, for someone who hasn't operated trucks for 27 years, is a hard no for me because I will not kneel at the altar of PACCAR and,
Correct.
and request their permission to, adjust the speed sensor.
Yeah, yeah. It's just we've gone over this so many times, but it's too much risk dealing with the PACCAR, and that's why we avoid them like the plague. Okay, well, let's move on, shall we, to the topic at hand.
Can I answer one more question?
Yes, go ahead.
I gotta find it now. Oh, why are you following me on TikTok? Is a CDL worth it still? I think that's an interesting question. It may lead into what we're going to talk about tonight, but the answer to your question is yes. The CDL is your ticket to be in this industry. Is it worth it? It is if you want to run a business. It is not worth it if you want to come here and just be a idiotic truck driver that's not going to manage your costs and run your business as a business. It will be a ticket to disaster. People right now who are in this industry that say they can't make any money has nothing to do with the CDL. It has something to do with their ability to manage costs and run a business. You can't be in this industry without a CDL. So is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. But can it also be a pain in the ass and not worth it? Yes. But it's not the CDL. The CDL is how you get here. It's not how you stay here. Chris, you want to add to that?
Um, yeah, I think that any time that you do something to make yourself more valuable, is a CDL valuable? Yes. Is it more valuable than the food handler's card that you get to work at McDonald's? Well, absolutely. Right. The CDL, as Larry has said many times, is the ticket to the dance, which is why we talk so much about doing a proper pre-trip and not getting unnecessary CSA points, because those things will cause your CDL to be worthless. And you are no longer allowed to attend the dance because you're disqualified, right? So a CDL, commercial driver's license, is very easy to obtain. Um, it's fairly easy to keep, if you won't run over people, and you'll take care of your equipment and take care of your license. But a CDL is going to have a value, a basic value of somewhere between $50 and $100,000, right? You can be a knot on a log, not put a lot of effort into your job, and make $50,000 to $100,000. You can also take that exact same certification and put it to work in business by buying your own truck and running your own equipment, and you could double that. And you could be 150 to 200,000 or 250, or you could build a fleet and make $1 million, right? But the one common denominator in all this is you. And I saw someone this morning, one of my Facebook acquaintances or friends, what do you want to call them, and he was talking about how long he'd been at this company. Oh, well, we got a raise, but it really wasn't a raise, and of course, in inflation, and I got to thinking about raises. When you're an employee of some company, that company has to offer something of value to the marketplace, or that company's going to go out of business. And most of the time, yes, your employment is going to be crucial. Something that you do is going to make that product or service available to the public in order for that business to generate revenue. And sometimes what your role is less crucial than others. You may be the mail guy versus being the financial officer, right? But what we try to warn against is having the mentality of an employee and getting into business, because it is a recipe for disaster. In business, you are paid only what you're worth. And so if you're not worth much, you're not going to get much. And the only way you're worth anything is to the extent which you provide value to a customer. You're solving someone else's problem. You're taking whatever's in front of them that they need done, and you're getting that done for them. And they're willing to pay you a premium to do that. But what you have to understand as being an employee is that when you're an employee, you get paid first. When you're in business, you get paid last. And that's why business people, if you see the greed machine on television that wants to constantly make you envious of someone that's a greater wealth or higher stature, and they want to say, oh, well, they look at how much money they made. Well, they take all the risk, right? Because you get paid on Friday regardless of what happens. But that business owner may not get paid that week. They could have other things happen, and they don't get paid at all. They may not get paid till the end of the year. So they take an incredible amount of risk. And in life, the more risk you take, the more reward you should get. Okay? So you've got to understand that being an employee and being in business are two very, very, very different things. So you must be willing to put the needs of others ahead of your own in order to survive in business. So if you look at a business in any industry that has been in business successfully for more than 5 years, that is a absolute clear sign that someone at the top has put others' needs ahead of their own. If you see a business that's been in business successfully for 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 years, then you should look at that person as an absolute expert on putting others' needs ahead of their own, right? Or they wouldn't still be in business, because that's just a fact. You can do really, really dumb things for a very short period of time and get away with it. I mean, you can do heroin for a while, right? But it's eventually going to catch up to you. And that's what happens in business. And so you'll see a lot of people in business. We call them big hat, no cattle. I stole that from the Texans. But you'll see these people that get into business and they get access to that cash flow because there's a lot of cash flow, right? There's a lot of money flowing around. And well, they instantly go to the BMWs and the Corvettes and they got the big house and the pool and motorcycle and, 3 or 4 girlfriends. Well, they'll be flashy for a period of time. And then one day they're gone, just poof, just disappeared. Well, I wonder what happened to that guy. What happened to that business? Why'd that business close? That business closed because the person running it did not do a good job and probably put themselves too high up the food chain. So most of the successful businesses you'll see are people driving the old paid-for used cars. They're not buying $5,000 suits. They're not living in fancy, flashy houses. You may see that someday, but you're not going to see that in the beginning. So if you go to work for someone and they're too flashy too early, I might be wary of their ability to keep your employment stable enough for you to move on to your next phase. And that's a perfect transition, and I'm going to take that opportunity. We're going to talk about trucking scams and how to avoid them. And our visibility got restricted on TikTok. How awesome is that? Oh, it heard me say the H word. Great. So trucking scams and how to avoid them. There's certainly plenty of them. There's been one happening here lately with Landstar, and it happened to me a couple of months ago. I was at a festival with my daughter, and my phone rings, and it's a weird area code. And I answered, and he said, "Hey, this is Mark with Landstar Safety." And I went, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "This is the new number for the safety department. You can go ahead and mark it down." And I went, "Oh, really?" I said, "Okay, well, how can I help you?" He says, "Well, one of your trucks an agent reported that one of your trucks was involved in an accident," which the minute he said that, I knew where we were headed. He wanted my fuel card number. So we just need to verify some information. Well, I told him to go find a dark corner that was off to himself and go fornicate himself, and hung up. And then
a large cactus.
and I informed Landstar's, risk management people. And boy, he's really been busy the last week or so. Now, certainly we can ask the question, how is this guy getting information? Because when he called my driver first. He knew I was the fleet manager. He knew I was not a driver. He knew that my driver did not own the truck. Now, certainly, I have plenty of questions of wondering why and how he's getting this information. Well, why won't somebody do something? Somebody needs to shut this guy down. Listen, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. But did you ever go to the arcade when you were a kid and there was a game called Whack-A-Mole? And there'd be little different holes in the mole. The mole pops his head out of the hole, and you got to try to whack him before he drops back down. Well, that's what this is like with these online scammers. They've somehow gotten proprietary information, and they're able to use it to call people and try to use some sort. They're trying to ignite your fight or flight reflex. They want to make you concerned. Oh my gosh, they said I was involved in an accident, or my driver was involved in it. Oh my gosh, and if they can get you off base just a little bit and you feel like you're solving a problem, then they are able to get you to give information away that you should never give away. Now, I'm going to quote Dave Ramsey here real quick, because he said this years ago. And at first, I didn't know how to take it. But he mentioned that someone had called his show asking for help, and their elderly loved one had been scammed by some telephone thing, and they wanted to know what to do about it. And Dave said something that was pretty profound, a little offensive. He said, "Listen, I hate to tell you this, but you know why Mama got scammed? Mama was greedy. Mama wanted to get something for nothing, something that was too good to be true." And it was one of those, if you'll put $1,000 here, I'll put $50,000 there. Mama thought she was going to get something for nothing. It wasn't because she was elderly and not intelligent. She got tricked on emotion, and she got led to believe that she could do something that was impractical and improbable and get a windfall for that. And so that's what happened to her. Excuse me. And so that is part of the problem with these scams, is that you've got to think and you have to stop. Well, a lot of these situations, they're not giving you time to stop and process. Well, that's your only option. It is the only option available to you, is to stop completely. Full stop. Oh, hey, this is the safety guy, and we just got this report. I need your fuel card number. No, I don't think so. Let me call Landstar. Let me call Jacksonville. Let me call the safety department. I'll call somebody. Give me your phone number and I'll call you back. Right. And what's amazing about this guy, when I first heard about the fuel card scam, my mind immediately went to, oh, I bet they're from India, right? Because they're so well known for these telephone scams. Listen, this old boy speaks with a very distinguished Southern gentleman accent, right? I mean, this guy's white as Heiner's bread. Y'all probably don't have Heiner's bread anywhere but here. Wonder Bread, okay? That's a national. This guy's seriously Caucasian, okay? And he speaks in this voice to try to relax you. Hey, just wanting to let you know that you're having this problem, and I'm going to help you fix this problem. Well, what he's going to help you do is empty out your fuel card. I saw one today. Now I'm going to try my best. I'm trying some technology here, so please, y'all, forgive me if this goes to if this goes to pot. But I'm going to try it anyway. What I'm going to show you here is a TikTok that I saw today. And it's 60 seconds, if you'll just bear with us, and hopefully it will work correctly. So we're going to give this a shot. So here we go. Fingers crossed. It's not working. Oh, well, I apologize. I tried. It was working before the show. Anyway, what this thing did was it was a couple, and they're known for funny videos. The guy's always screaming about the kids and how stupid they are, and but this is a very serious video, and this is the most important video we've ever done. And they tell the story of how their daughter, excuse me, their daughter's a registered nurse, and someone calls her work 5 times, and so her work calls her cell phone and says, hey, this guy's called 5 times and it's very urgent. So they connect her on a 3-way call with this guy. And this guy says, they live in Alabama, you have missed your federal jury duty in Mobile County, Alabama. They don't even live there. And so we're issuing a warrant for your arrest unless you're here within an hour. And by the way, bring your children with you because they're going to be detained. This is a 3 or 4 minute video. I've got it down to 60 seconds. As I'm watching this, as soon as he got to "You've missed federal jury duty," I laughed aloud. That was my response because it was so silly to me. It was so silly and it was so instant. But when you, and this is what the Indians do, the credit card scammers, oh, well, you haven't paid this bill and we're going to issue a warrant for your arrest. And so you better give us money now or the sheriff is on his way. Well, the biggest problem with some of these types of scams is that people don't understand very, very basic things about how the United States court system works. It doesn't work that way. No one ever. I mean, you could rob a bank. I mean, you could do something really, really heinous, and they're not going to call you and say, "Hey, we're going to come get you." If you do certain things, they're going to blow your doors off in the middle of the night. But they have to go to a judge, and a judge has to sign an arrest warrant. This is very, 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 very basic level 101 of how the United States court system works and how the United States Constitution works and most of the constitutions of the states.
It was called civics class back in high school.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, apparently.
Also, they never will let you pay your fine by bringing in paid gift cards. That should give it away. Okay, you can't bring in a Walmart card for $1,000 and get this taken off your record. Okay,
right, guys, we have to use something that is in such limited supply these days, and it's called logic and critical thinking. Anytime that another human or group of humans that may call themselves the government, but anytime another human or group of humans tries to use fear to get you to make a decision, you should run the other direction. You should,
particularly if they don't give you time. The rush is what's a giveaway there. So critical that you got to do it right now before you start thinking about it or talking to somebody else about it. Kind of like signing a lease purchase, by the way.
Boy, you talk about a segue. I mean, that's why he's a broadcast professional, because y'all had to figure we were going there. And just for the what I do with it. Just for the sake of, whoops, I hit the wrong button again. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Oh, nope. There it is. Just for the sake of I'm going to put it back on the screen. Trucking scams and how to avoid them. The number one scam that you can easily avoid is leasing a truck from a carrier. And a very close second is leasing a truck from a leasing company. The scam, the straight up theft and extortion that happens to truck drivers at a much, much higher level than any other scam ever perpetrated against truck drivers is the lease purchase program. Whether it be from a carrier or whether it be from a leasing company, LOAN Mountain, I'm talking to you. Lease purchasing a truck is a recipe for certain disaster. Now, I didn't say quick disaster because you'll get away with it for a while, because there will always be one in the comment section. Oh man, I leased my truck and it's been great. Okay. Well, I would love to do a financial analysis. I would love to. Why don't you send me, number one, a copy of your lease and send me 6 months of settlements and let me do a financial analysis of it from a business perspective. And I promise you, I will show you you're making less money than a company driver, and not a very good one at that. Like you're making a lot less than the Walmart guy. Lease purchasing a truck from a carrier is one of the dumbest things that you can possibly do with that CDL that we were talking about earlier. Is the CDL worth it? Yes, it is. Is lease purchasing a truck from a carrier worth it? Absolutely not. It is not. There's a bunch of y'all driving trucks for free. And in a time that we've been here, especially in the last 20 years, where there's so much, corporate hatred and corporate greed and blah, 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 there is no greater example of corporate greed, if that's what you want to call it, than carriers lease purchasing trucks to people that, number one, don't even understand how the industry works, don't understand how a contract works, can't read a contract or understand or comprehend it, which is why they put you in a room and won't let you out with it, and sure as hell won't ever let a lawyer look at it. Lease purchasing a truck is the biggest scam that is available to truck drivers in 2024. Don't do it.
Let me give you a close second runner up, Chris. Going to a trucking company to get your CDL.
Absolutely. Y'all, listen. A decent school, which I don't even know if there is such a thing, but a halfway competent CDL school can get you a CDL for $5,000 or $6,000. So no matter what you're doing today, if you'll cut off Netflix and Amazon Prime and the other 72 subscriptions that you pay $8.99 a month for, and you'll stop door dashing and you'll rice and beans, as Dave Ramsey says it, and work 2 jobs and deliver pizzas on the weekend, you could save up $5,000 or $6,000 in a pretty short period of time and just write a check for that. And it changes. I've seen it in my daughter in the last 4 days. My daughter just turned 18. She just started school and she needs a car, right? And so bless her precious little heart. She has inundated me. It has been raining Facebook Messenger posts onto. I have received 150. Hey, Dad, look at this car. Look at this car. Look at this car. Not any one of them could she afford. My favorite one was the H2 Hummer that I just responded with LOL, no. But I found her a car, little $1,500 Ford Taurus. Kyle and I went and looked at it. We got the guy down to $1,200, and it had a couple little problems. Didn't idle real good. It would shut off. And Kyle opened the hood and instantly knew what it was and fixed it for probably $3. It was just a little hose. Now the car runs perfect, but she's now paid $1,200 for that car cash with money that she earned. She paid her insurance today cash with money that she earned. She bought her plates and got her title transferred cash with money she owns. And now she owns a car, and a car does not own her. And I said, darling, listen to me clearly. If you just stay the course, yes, it's a $1,200 car. No, you're not going to drive to the beach in it. Okay. But it's going to get you to school and back every day. And it's going to get you to your little jobs every day. And we'll work on it. We'll tinker with it. We'll fix it up and we'll make it pretty reliable. But in a year, you could probably sell that car for $1,200, But I can already see how ownership has changed her because it's hers and nobody can come and take it from her. It's something that I hope will stay with her the rest of her life. But when you sign up for these lease purchase scams, this lease purchase garbage, you are a slave to giant corporations. These are not mom and pop businesses. These are, in some cases, billion-dollar companies that are signing truck drivers up for absolute indentured servitude, where they're not even paying you a decent wage that could be earned by another, just being a company driver. It is absolute garbage, and you should absolutely avoid it with everything in your possibility. Dwayne Hillsman on Facebook. I got my CDL for $2,200 from my community college. And listen, y'all know there's 1,000 government programs that'll pay for it for free. I'd still pay cash because I don't want to be their slave either. But you've got to not just do it because everybody else is doing it. And we've got mentoring clients, that have truck payments, and it is an extra and unnecessary amount of stress added to them. I'm going to have a conversation with one of them so y'all can meet him because he's a really, really sharp guy. He's got an incredible work ethic. But the amount of stuff that he's had this truck 6 weeks and has already had to do an unacceptable number of things to it. Today, unfortunately, he had to deal with some idiot at a Love's getting way too close to it with a blowtorch, and trying, I guess, to heat up a bolt to get a shock loose, and literally melted his shock bracket. I mean, it was liquid, y'all. Now listen, I've made the joke as much as anybody else. It can't be tight if it's liquid, but you're supposed to melt the bolt, genius, not the shock mount. That doesn't help you. And they started to not be helpful. And so I opened the door just a little crack to let the angry redneck. I didn't let him all the way out, but the angry redneck did get involved to an extent, and then they began to respond in a necessary way, and I put the angry redneck back in his cage for now. For now, I fully reserve the right to let the angry redneck completely out of the cage if they don't behave. But think about that. This guy's been an owner-operator for 6 weeks. What do you think would have happened to him if I would have not intervened and put my foot up a couple of asses this morning and made it abundantly clear? No, this is not how this is going to go. You're not going to pretend that this was just not a big deal. You have damaged this guy's truck. Your insurance company's going to get involved. Your general and regional managers are going to get involved. Okay. And that started changing their tune. But here's this essentially helpless truck driver. He just doesn't know what to do. Well, I showed him. And I was angry about it. I was not happy when I talked to the people at their national customer service line. But how you can't let people, especially low quality, subpar people, destroy your truck and think they're going to get away with it. And that's what they did. This was destruction of property. And they're like, oops, sorry. Well, no, the hell no, they didn't even say sorry. They actually tried to blame it on him and make it his fault because they brought him a truck, a 2020, Peterbilt, by the way. They brought him a truck that was difficult for them to work on. And so in their lack of professionalism and stupidity, they did damage to his truck and tried to weasel the way out of it. But fortunately, he's got me on speed dial, and I don't let stuff like that happen. So let's see here. Let me roll back through the comments. See about. Okay, I'm interested to hear this story. Paul Harris on YouTube. Camping World also uses fear if you want to buy a new RV. You sign your rights away to recover from them. They say you can't have your dreams unless you sign. Well, listen, RVs are probably worse than big trucks because they're really expensive and they drop like a rock in value as soon as you drive them off the lot. You think markup on depreciation on a car is bad. Excuse me. Look at depreciation on an RV. Oh, looks like we got all the usual suspects. Rocky's on. Rocky must have a device in each hand because he's on TikTok and YouTube. Francisco, trucker here. Appreciate this for I'm very impressionable. Well, Francisco, you don't always have to be impressionable. What you have to be, folks, is curious. If you ask me what's one of the most important attributes to success in business, it's curiosity. You've got to begin to wonder about things. How does that work? I mean, how do my brakes work? I just had an ABS repair on my trailer. What did they do to fix it, and how does it work? If you'll begin to ask those questions, it will lead you to YouTube, and it will lead you to asking questions that can easily be answered. And it will arm you with information. I've told the story before. I'll tell it again quickly. Where a new mentoring client came along, and right when she was getting ready to start, she ended up in the shop. And they gave her a $10,700 estimate for an emissions repair. And I said, no way. I said, go in there and tell them to do this. And she went in there, and he would not do that. He said, well, he just kept re-explaining to her what she needed to do. And I said, well, you go and explain to him that you're leaving. And so she did. And she got the repair done down the street for $1,700, not $10,700. But that began with asking questions. Okay, well, is there another way to fix this? Is there someone else? Is there someone else down the street? In that situation, what if they had her truck torn down and it was undrivable? Well, with a $9,000 difference in the price to fix the truck between two, $1,000 to have it towed to the next shop is not that much of a big deal. Because we have towed a truck out of a shop before, because look, sometimes you end up in a place by proximity. They know they're never going to see you again. So they can absolutely tear your head off and know they'll never see you again. So it doesn't matter. So if you break down and you have the unfortunate situation where you've landed in somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, start getting on the phone and asking questions and finding other people. Today, if that had been my truck at the truck stop where they destroyed the shop, it wasn't completely destroyed. You can still get a bolt in it. But if that was my truck and they couldn't, at first they said, well, we can't put it back together because we can't get the bolt out of the old shock. Well, number one, the driver would have been in an Uber going to find a Rural King or a Tractor Supply or a Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere to go buy. It's just a grade 8 bolt, y'all. It's just a 3/4 10 grade 8 bolt, probably 6 inches long. They sell them all over the place, right? If I would have had to send somebody to buy a file, a little round file, to get the melted metal off of there so that the bolt, that's what we would have done. But here we have a national chain truck stop that isn't even smart enough to say, well, we're going to replace these shocks. We'll just put new bolts in it. Now, they could have bolts on the back shelf, and probably this mental giant doesn't even know where they are, right? We've seen that plenty of times. But how do we end up in a situation where professional shops with very large marketing budgets, by the way, that love to tell us how wonderful and qualified they are and how great their people are, and I get a little Maury Povich lie detector out, and I find that's not true. The lie detector says that it's a lie, that they are not qualified, they are not trained properly, they are not of any kind of quality and necessary to be turning wrenches on trucks, but yet here they are. Jack's dad on TikTok says, wish I had listened to you before I leased with Schneider. Well, brother, you're not the only one. We've seen it many times, but I mean, we are such a small voice in a very large industry that is trying to get you to beware of the entrepreneur industrial complex that is ready to come and take your money, and a bunch of you will just give it to them. You'll give away so much opportunity, and you'll give away so much liberty, end up being a slave for one of these giant corporations. Don't care. They could not care less if their lease purchase program bankrupts your family and puts your kids out on the street. Because the minute that you finally get fed up enough to leave, they'll just put another butt right in that seat.
It's your fault anyway.
Yeah. Well,
So let me
go ahead.
Chris, let me tie something back together here. Let's go back to the CDL question, because I think it applies to what we're talking about here. The question again was, is a CDL today worth it, or something to that effect? Let's qualify that again, because there is a blurry line between CDL and truck owner. And we're talking about an incident right now with someone who has a CDL, who also is a truck owner. So understand that getting a CDL and becoming someone capable of driving a truck for pay does not automatically qualify you to decide to become a business owner and have to have the ability to do what we just talked about. Because the reason that these things happen to drivers is because drivers don't have the ability to stand up for themselves. They think that they're dependent upon that person to fix this problem for them. They don't take matters in their own hands. They don't look at their own options. So let's qualify that question again, because is it worth it to get a CDL? Yes. That does not automatically mean that you need to go out and buy a truck with that CDL. There's a lot of people that need to work for somebody else that has the balls to do what we just talked about doing, and the ability to do it, and the knowledge and the know-how to do it. If you're not one of those, just drive for someone else who does. And that's not for someone else. That does not mean that because they own a truck means they're qualified to have you as an employee either. None of this stuff is guaranteed. Everything out here is a risk. The secret to all this is, how do you manage the risk? But getting a CDL is not a free ride that you're going to come out here and buy a truck and be successful and not have all these problems that we just talked about, like this guy today. You have to have the ability to problem solve and to think through these situations and explore your options and exercise your options. So a lot of you guys trust everybody because you think everybody is out here to do you good, and that's just not true. I mean, there are scams everywhere, okay? Every one of the TAs you walk into that has a shop, in my opinion, is a scam, okay? Every one of them. Not seen one of them yet that wasn't, okay? But you'll walk in there thinking that those people know what they're talking about and what they're doing, and they have no clue. Have no clue. So you can't come out here and just blindly trust everybody. You have to have a certain amount of paranoia or disbelief, or
Yeah.
question everything. Why? Ask the question why and let them talk. Discernment.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that Larry says is, if you want to know whether or not somebody's full of crap, just ask them why and then shut up and listen. That would serve a bunch of you well, when you're scrolling through your feed, you're and it doesn't matter which platform you're on. You're scrolling through that feed, and you're being inundated with information. Well, first, how about let's ask if it's true. Is it true? Is it really true? Probably not, especially if it's trying to gaslight you with some kind of salacious information to get you to have that fear response, or you go, and Larry has always had a little bit of a conspiratorial mind when it comes to these lease purchase programs, because if you get someone in one of these lease trucks and they find out pretty quick they're not making any money, you can turn them into a company driver for life, because you see that all the time. Oh, trucking's not worth it. You being an owner operator is not worth it. Better get you a company driver job. Well, maybe that's part of the deal, but they certainly do enjoy getting truck drivers to drive their trucks for free, because that's what's happening. you're paying all of their bills and all of their expenses,
and
and you're making
and
nothing.
and they're spanking you hard enough that they're stealing your dreams, so that you're happy to be a perfectly retained company driver because you stuck your foot in the water and the water was cold. Um, and I mean, and I've always said lease purchases by a carrier is a driver retention program. They're just calling it something different.
Mhm. Yeah, because y'all get high on that new truck smell.
Well, you hate your job so bad that you think the only way you can make this job worth it is if you own the truck. And you convince yourself of doing that because you got nothing else to do for 10 hours a day, but to lie to yourself and make yourself believe that that's going to be the resolution to your problem. But you don't understand that it's not going to be the resolution. And they're certainly not going to offer you the resolution. They're going to make you understand that you can't do this, that you have to have them feeding you to survive. And so you're happy to come back and be their little servant because they have bankrupted you and ruined your family because they let you lease you this truck and let you fail in it. And now you're happy to be a company driver again. Hell, we recommend every day to people to go be company drivers
Mhm.
because they think that being in business is easy and that being in business is just driving a truck that you own, that you make the decisions. And that's farthest thing from the truth that there is.
Yeah, that's if I get offended, it's that. It's when I see people that think that being in business is easy, or it's just an equal alternative to being a
The next
company driver.
it's the next thing, the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm a company driver and I've driven a truck and I backed into a dock, so now I'm qualified to be in business. No, you are not. You are 100% not qualified to be in business
Now
just because.
I'm gonna tell you the next 2 or 3 comments from now will be, I'm just a truck driver. I've been out here doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, that's a sure sign you're gonna fail. It, we had a conversation, last week with a guy, a long time been driving 27 or 30 years or whatever, and was talking about coming in the program, and he's like, "Well, I mean, maybe what if there might be a clash?" No, no, because you'll do what the hell I tell you to do when I tell you to do it, or you won't be here, right?
You know what I should do next week, Chris? I should get one of these lease purchases out, and I should put together a lease purchase program, and I should try to sell it next week on air.
I think that is a fantastic idea. I love that. I mean,
I'll
we have 3 of those contracts or 2. I know we
2 or
have
3.
2. And y'all, they're awful.
I will get those out. I'll devise a lease purchase program, and then I will present it next week and see how many people we want to get to want to sign up for it.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. Well, Richie graduated from our program and is now a VCO on his own, and he had to go to orientation last week. And he said, I was the only one in there that read every word of that contract, and they're all just itching to go to lunch, and he's sitting there going through every page and every word, 60 some pages, you know,
62.
and he's actually reading the contract before he signs it. And that's so. I mean, think about how in America 2024 that you're in a room full of people basically signing their lives away, and you're uh, you're taking too long because everybody they just want you to sign it and get on with it. And
We have an agreement here for you to be in our masterclass program. Okay. We sit here in this room, the room we're in right this minute,
yep,
and we read every word of it to you, just in case you can't read, and that way we think you can hear. Well, it's so different when you do things the right way as opposed to trying to get you to do something that's not in your best interest.
Felton J on YouTube says, Larry, I haven't read your contract, but I'm ready to sign. You sound trustworthy.
Well, um, well, look, let me shift gears to something serious here. We've probably scared some of you tonight with this. If you're out there and you're in a situation like this where you've signed a lease purchase contract, or you own a truck and you're having difficulty or having trouble, we can help you. We're here. Chris and I want to help you. We enjoy doing this. But what you have to understand is that you have to want to be helped. Um, you have to acknowledge the fact that maybe you made some bad decisions and maybe you should have done something differently. And we're not going to criticize you that for that. Well, we are, but not going to rub your face in it like you shit the floor like a dog. But we are going to make you understand that, look, you have to change the way you think so we can fix this problem. All this stuff is easily fixed. We just have to get you to understand that we have to change the way you think so that you start thinking like a business owner and not like a CDL holder.
Yeah.
But listen, we're here to do that. We have programs to help everybody in this business who's made bad decisions. You just have to acknowledge that and understand that we're not going to do those things again going forward. And we're going to take a lot of risk off of you because we're going to let you do a lot of things with us where we're assuming the risk instead of you. And you look at it and go, well, that sounds too good to be true. How's that work? Well, here's how it works. Okay, we make a lot of money here driving trucks correctly. Okay, we make a lot of money here. We make so much that the driver can make a really, really good pay. The owner of the truck, hopefully, can make good pay. He gets paid last, and then Chris and I get paid pretty good for administering the program. But we are successful doing this because we teach you how to operate that truck at a highly, highly effective, efficient, and profitable way. And by the way, as you learn to do that here, when you leave here, you can do it for yourself and you make all the money. So it is true that we love doing it, but we also aren't afraid to cash the checks. Okay, um,
Right.
we like to go home with money, but understand it's a win-win-win here. We cannot make money unless you do. We cannot make money unless the truck owner does. So our program doesn't take money away from you and put it into a greedy corporation. It teaches you to make the money that we taught you to do it so that everybody can share in it in full proportionate amount. That's all I got, Chris.
I love it. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it as well. That um,
So Jack said, if you're leased on Schneider and you think you've made a mistake, get a hold of us. We'll try to help you. We just worked with somebody that is a lease purchase. Am I right about that, Chris? Our client that's with Schneider.
yes.
It's a lease purchase, isn't it? Okay.
No, well, no, it was. He paid it off, and now it's his, but
Okay.
he's still
Okay.
there.
All right. So anyway, we will try to listen. We will probably be able to help you. There's very few people that we have not been able to do something to help. You might not like some of the things that we recommend, but you're asking for our opinion. That's what you're going to get. So
Right. I'm playing around a little bit with well, I was trying to put the picture of the masterclass people up on the screen, but I'm getting carried away and trying to do too much at once. So anyway, um, again, let me reiterate that um, the only reason that either one of us is here, and I'll speak solely for myself. The only reason that I'm here and doing what I do is because of this masterclass. I would not. Listen. I'm pretty damn good at managing a fleet of trucks. I'm pretty damn good at taking care of crisis situations involving trucks and loads and maintenance issues. Like I'm real good at it. I would not employ those extraordinary skills that I have attained over time in just operating trucks to haul freight. I would not do it. The only reason I do this is because of this program, because I have lived it.
not the freight. It's putting up with truck driver attitudes. The freight has nothing to do with it.
Right. Now, look, if you want to build a fleet and hire people to drive your trucks, I mean, listen, I'll give you all the information and advice I can give you from my perspective and my experience, I have a lot of it, and I'm really good at what I do. But I would not do that. I would be doing something else, um, probably turning wrenches and managing a shop. Um, but we do this to give you the opportunity to not go through what I did, because what I went through was hell on earth. I almost lost everything and everyone because I did business in trucking incorrectly. Yes, there's a correct way and an incorrect way. And there are plenty of people I've seen them in the Facebook groups. Well, y'all think your way is the only way that works. Yes. Ours is the only way that works 100% of the time.
And it's not our way, by the way.
Right.
It's called doing business the way that business people recommend you do business.
Right.
Which seems to be a rare occurrence in the trucking industry.
Yeah. If you brought any person from any other industry into how we do things, they wouldn't see anything abnormal or weird or strange about what we do and how we do it. They go, well, yeah, this is how you run a business. But if you took those same people and said, okay, well, here's how those trucking companies run their business, they would be horrified at what they saw. But to what we do to most industries and most businesses is completely normal. Nobody would think anything of it. But when you run into these truck drivers that have been suckered and cajoled and lied to and misrepresented,
And think their CDO is their free ticket to success of owning a truck. These
yeah,
presumptions, these are presumptions you've been sold. Y'all gladly let people sell you that shit.
hmm yeah. I, I'm, I am, I have, I've never been more confident than I am today because, um, when I started here in 18, the market was great. And 19, the market was pretty damn good. And then 2021, we all know what
Listen,
happened.
listen, it's getting ready to get good again because monkeypox 19 is going to be out here by the time the election rolls around. So we're going to go through it all again.
Have you seen I think it was in Maine. They're putting a curfew on people. They got to be inside by 6 o'clock because of some sort of encephalitis or some nonsense. Um, and there are people at this meeting, please don't do this to our kids. How about y'all stop asking these people for permission? Haven't y'all at least learned that?
Sure, it wasn't encephalitis.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um, monkeypox 19 is going to save the trucking industry. My prediction.
probably. Yeah. You figure it's going to heat up about 3 weeks before November, the
Well,
first week of
it
November.
depends on whether the polls predict that Trump's going to be ahead or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The polls will make a difference,
Right.
and how deadly the disease is going to be. Um, yeah. Listen, y'all.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Monkeypox 19 is going to rejuvenate the trucking industry temporarily. It'll be a bump,
Yeah.
like 2020.
Um, to be clear, you are a trucking company.
Well,
Basically,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And you are a social media observer,
I
so
mean,
we could generalize
well,
everything there.
but
Okay.
I mean, there are different levels to that. We are a company. We have trucks. We haul freight. Now, we're not a company in the sense that we have our own authority and go get our own customers, things like that. I mean, there's different levels to how you do this, but we are a company. We do have trucks. We do haul freight, but we do that in order to teach the business practices and principles that we teach. We could do the exact same thing with a truck shop, or
We use the
hamburgers.
trucking. We use the format of a trucking company to do things that are educational for people without taking on risk, as opposed to predatory acts that the trucking companies that we're talking about tend to do. Um, I mean, you can generalize and call. Look, we're all in the trucking industry, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that everybody in the trucking industry is doing things that are predatory. But there are a bunch of them that are. So,
And I should add also that y'all see me and you see Larry, but what you don't get to regularly see are people like the guy that's sitting in the table here in front of us that you can't see, and that's Josh, and he owns some of the trucks that we operate. And Josh is on our management team. You don't see Phil. Sometimes you see Phil, but Phil is one of the most experienced heavy haul BCOs at Landstar that gives his time um, to help people learn platform. We have Richie, who is now a BCO. He's on our management team. We have Barbara on our management team, who's a former Blue Ribbon driver and now works in our shop. We have a very, very vast team here that y'all don't get to see much. I'd love to get them more involved in the social media so that you could see them. But we have a driver development team. You know, we have so much support system here built into this that you guys only see me and Larry, but there's so much more. Danica, where can I find your phone number so I can call and talk to you? You cannot, Danica. You cannot have my phone number. What you can have are 219 episodes on YouTube, a website called blueribbonlogistics.com with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of information that can answer any question that you have. Then you can go click on the website, blueribbonlogistics.com, and read about the masterclass, which will also answer many questions that you have. And if you have liked what you've seen by watching the podcast, again, this is episode 219. They're about 2 hours long generally. Then you can apply for the masterclass where there will be a bunch of questions asked of you. And then we will review that submission and we will reach out to you for a Zoom interview where we suggest you bring steel-toed shoes because we're probably going to step on your toes quite a bit. And we're going to ask you a lot of very difficult questions because we're not trying to kiss your ass to get here, you know, to come and drive one of our trucks. Like, I'm not trying to, like, you know, butter you up. You know, I want to punch you in the mouth, figuratively, of course. I want to shake you up and make sure you understand what you're getting into. And so make sure you're prepared for that interview because they can be brutal because we're going to ask a lot of really, really difficult questions that are going to be difficult for you to answer. So please spend some time going through YouTube. Everything is on every podcast platform, Spotify and and Apple. So the audio version's there. You can listen while you're driving. But we talk a lot. And we have gone through all of this stuff over and over and over again.
Danica, we do have available one-on-one consultations, but those are not free. All of our information is free. It's out there. There's 219 episodes. We have given away everything that we know. But if you want us to help you apply it, we charge for our time. We don't work for free here, except on Friday nights. But there is a way for you to reach it, but you have to do it through the website. You can request a a one-on-one consultation. Actually, it's 2-on-1 because Chris and I both are in it, and you will get a phone number with that. But we don't obviously put that out publicized because we don't have time to take those calls. You know.
It would be one thing if we had not put out 219 or 218 previous episodes, you know, but there is literally
And
hundreds of hours of information available out there for you guys to go through.
and we're on every night, Friday night at 8 o'clock, where we take these questions. So it's not like you have to just watch the old episodes. You can be on here and ask questions here, like you have been. So this is what we do for free. But beyond this, it's not free beyond this. Just to make it perfectly clear.
Excuse me.
Chris, Josh made a comment.
Yeah. Josh, who's sitting here at the table, made a comment on Facebook. I think we should use actual numbers from one of our trucks at $7,500 to $8,500 a week and what the lease purchase would do to the revenue of that successful truck in our system. That is fantastic because we have the numbers. I can show you what the numbers would be, and I can show you what happens to the profit when it gets eaten up by all of their escrows and their truck payments and their fees. And that would be easy to do, especially with stuff that I put in place here over the last few months. That would be a super simple calculation. And you could watch those impressive profit numbers that we have just about go to zero in a quickness, you know. I like that idea a lot. So Larry's homework for this week is to prepare this big lease purchase that he's going to try to convince y'all to do.
Then we'll show you how shitty a business model it is.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I get it. It's quick and easy. All you got to do is sign your name. Just sign right here. Just sign your name, and we'll give you the keys to this truck. Of course, we won't teach you anything about how to run it.
But you got to bring your kids because we're going to detain them.
Yeah, I mean,
that can't be a scam, you know.
Yeah, well, I've said before, after my truck failed and I went to Swift, and I was just driving.
The scary truth about this is that lease purchases from a carrier, you have to bring your whole family because they're going to detain them.
Oh, Blake Chastain, I have lease proposals for the major leasing companies if you want them for your exercise.
Like I do, Blake.
Yes.
I'm going to talk to you in the morning anyway. So
yes,
yeah, I'll take those. Yeah.
Well, and I how did that come about? Oh, I remember I was driving for a local company here, and we had a Freightliner day cab that I worked there for 7 months, and I saw that truck move under its own power 3 times. I mean, you would hit a bump and all the lights on the dash would come on and it was game over, right? And they'd tow it back to the dealer and they'd have it for 3 months and they'd bring it back and you'd make it around the corner and it'd shut off again. Well, they were in a pinch because we didn't have any trucks. So they sent me down to Ryder, down here right beside the old shop, to pick up a truck. And I'm like, great. And they gave me this Volvo. And so I asked the guy, and I'm like, so how does this work? He's like, oh, well, it's pretty reasonable. Okay, tell me more. It was like $1,500 a week. Okay. No, well, actually, he started with, well, the great thing is if you ever break down, we'll just bring you another truck. And I'm like, okay, but what's it cost? Oh, well, we have a mileage fee and blah, 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 blah. And I said, but what does it cost? What's $1,500 a week? And my calculator started calculating. There's no money left for I mean, like, are we just ramen noodles and it was insane.
Well, listen, as a society, we are accustomed to buying things based on what it costs per week or per month.
Right.
The average car payment right now, I think, is like close to $700 in this country. So no one knows what they paid for a car. They only know what they're paying every month for it. So that's the lease purchase plays right into that. Even if you think you can afford that weekly payment, what are you paying for the truck when it's all said and done? You've got these 60-month contracts with, $45,000 balloon payments and all these escrows. I mean, no one ever sits down and gets a calculator out and does the math. And they owe more on the truck when they're done with the lease than the truck is worth.
Didn't you did that calculation the last time for that guy, and it came up to 270,000, I think. He was going to pay
usually 2 or 3 times what the truck would sell for.
Yeah. Like $270,000 for a $90,000 truck. I mean, oh my God. And they're like, oh, but I didn't bring the BSC 9000 with me to throw up in front of the camera tonight. But y'all, it's just math. It's just math. That's all it is. It's pretty simple.
Chris, got one.
You do. That's true. But that's an inferior copy of that because the damn numbers never always work. There's nothing pretty much on earth. Much as I love my iPhone and my Mac, there's nothing on earth I hate more than an iPhone calculator, because it is just one step above useless. I need to feel the crunch of the numbers under my fingers, you know.
Could make an app, an iPhone app that that takes apart lease purchases in front of you, so you can do it while you're in a room.
Yeah.
You can't take it out, but just
Yeah.
enter the numbers
How
here.
much is your lease payment? How long is it? And what's the balloon? Yeah, I'm going to pay $270,000. And then it could have, like, you put the truck model in. What's the truck actually worth if you just went and bought it right now? Yeah, sure. I'd love to pay $270,000 for a $90,000 truck. Sounds like an awesome idea. That is a well-informed decision based on critical thinking and logic.
You could make every payment, and before the last payment, they could take it away from you.
Yep.
What value do you put on that?
Yeah.
They can cancel it the last day after you've made every payment.
Mm-hmm. And listen, even at Landstar, we've had drivers get canceled and nothing we can do about it. I get a phone call. Hey, such and such has happened with your driver. Okay. And we've made the decision to cancel that driver. Well, that's unfortunate, and I hate to hear that. Let me get them a load home first. Absolutely. You can get them one more load to get them wherever you need the truck is, but they're done, and it's over. That came from a warning in California, by the way.
To a very, very, very good driver.
One of the best we've ever had. Gone in an instant. So, and Josh says, and they control how much you make via what loads you get.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You can do a lease purchase with a leasing company, and those aren't always great. But the problem with doing a lease purchase with a carrier that's getting your loads is because they also can control your revenue. I mean, it's like it goes on and on. I mean, it's ad nauseum the reasons why. And I've said this before in previous podcasts. There's very few things in life you can always say always or never, and those words never have to be eaten. But that's not one of them. You should never, ever, 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 under any situation, ever lease a truck from a carrier that you're going to get your freight from.
Correct. Yeah, it's and to just roll back, this user with a bunch of numbers on TikTok asking what happened. I'm assuming you're talking about the canceled driver. This goes back to the very beginning of the show, and someone asked, "Is a CDL worth it?" One of the other big trucking scams, I'll put it back on the screen so I can say this. One of the other biggest trucking scams that you have to avoid is called CSA 2010.
Absolutely.
It is one of the worst pieces of legislation that the thieves, snakes, and I can't say that word or I'm gonna get thrown off.
The problem is it's not legislation; it's regulation.
Right.
And even the Supreme Court has recently struck down the ability to do that. It just hasn't been litigated enough yet.
CSA 2010, and if you have a CDL, you better go start reading about it, because basically what happened to our driver did not get a citation. Our driver did not get their day in court as prescribed under the Constitution of the United States of America that has been useless since before the ink was dry on it. She got a warning in California for speeding, no documentation, no paperwork. She's like, "Hey, buddy." He's like, "This is a verbal warning." She's like, "Okay, no paperwork." And he just kept walking. So she didn't say anything about it. It was just a verbal warning. Well, guess what? When Smokey the Bear got back and got his car, he put it into the computer that she got a warning for speeding. And that made her have too many CSA points, and she gone. No defense. You can't get a lawyer. The CSA 2010 is the absolute worst piece of shit garbage that the thieves and liars that the FMCSA have ever come up with. It is absolutely a blank check
H
to
word we're trying to avoid.
the what?
H word we can't say.
Well, I already said it earlier, so I can't say it again. But it's a substance that you could use to increase your. Hey, well, we got a lesson, y'all.
Hey, speaking of the
Bad shit.
devil.
Just
Speaking of the devil.
boy, I mean, listen, stuff just got. Let me turn my camera here. We got Pete, Pete and repeat in here. Yeah, we got one Travis Warren. We got Barb in here. She's already been drinking, so that's good. Danica on TikTok says, "How do we see our personal CSA score?" I know we can see it. How do you look it up? Do you?
We get I get a report, but at Landstar, there is a report you can go look at.
You're bound to be able to look it up yourself somehow.
You
But how do
can.
you look it up by your license number? Barb is consulting the book of knowledge and will let us know
that.
shortly.
You can find it.
Well, there's data queue, there's that thing, and then there's something else. Michelle on TikTok, PSP. You can buy your PSP on FMCSA. YMCA on it's like $15. Thank you, Michelle. That's too many that's acronyms, sons of bitches. They put an acronym. PSP on FMCSA, it's like $15.
Acronym we saw on the license plate last night.
Let me think. We got behind this car. And it was
FUBAR.
FUDAR. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and it had all kinds of military and Marine Corps. And I'm thinking, okay, either they've misspelled FUBAR, which is up beyond all reality. So we get to a stoplight, and the curiosity just overruns me. And I roll the window down and blow the horn, and I'm like, "Listen, brother, you got to tell us what's that mean?" And it was friends,
till death or something.
Friends until death, always remembered. And I went, "Oh, that's sweet. Listen, that's
the last thing we thought it was.
Nowhere. I said our version was a lot dirtier than that. And the light turned green, and I hauled ass.
It was effed up beyond all recognition.
Yeah. FUDAR. Yeah. Maybe just put the whole thing on the back window. With the POW flag. Then you go, "Oh, I totally get it." And anyway, Paul Harris terminated. Massachusetts is send revoked CDL from issues 30 years old. A UPS driver has his revoked. It all stems from the RMV not following. Okay, Paul, you're going to have to break that up. Listen, I got a inspection in the state of New York in 2012. Did not receive a single violation. And everything he pointed out was like, "Hey, you better keep an eye on that, and you better keep an eye on that." And like, there was nothing wrong with my truck. 32 CSA points. Oh, you've got a little scuff mark on your brake hose. It's not a chafe. It's not through, but it's just a mark on your brake hose, and all your conspicuity tape on your mud flap is. We just keep an eye on this stuff. Like some bitches doing me a favor.
Here's another bad one. If you watch your lights, because if you have a multi-function light, that's a stoplight, turn signal, emergency flasher, that's not a light.
That's three.
That's three lights,
Mm-hmm.
and they stack all those points on
mm-hmm.
one bulb can cost you all three of those violations.
Yeah, and of course now we're getting to where the certain number of LEDs. You have to have more than 50% of the LEDs working. I mean, it's an absolute scam. And I 100% believe that the point of CSA is to get rid of experienced drivers to make room for cheap new ones. You know, and I mean, here sitting before us, he's probably one of the best drivers we've ever had gone, you know, and we got another one hanging by a thread because if he gets one more CSA point, they're going to yank his ass too.
That repeat,
Yeah.
we should let him hang around with Pete then, okay?
Right. 2 peas in a pod.
What did Beth Hutton say? Do I look like a
Yeah, easy now. Oh, Thomas. I'm not even going to try. Good evening from London. Been
London?
Well, listen,
Is
that
it
it could
is
be
it
London.
after
That could be London, Kentucky. Just,
is
you
it
know,
afternoon? Is it afternoon tea time here?
yeah. Been watching videos on this channel. Wanted to ask, what would average daily, weekly target money wise? We target $8,000 a week. That's what we target. So if you're going to work a truck full time, work 50 weeks, you got to be targeting 400 grand. That should be your target.
Now, that target is based on what your profit needs are, and it's also has a lot to do with your cost of operation. So you may or may not be able to use 8,000 for your operation, okay? That's what our operation requires for everybody to get paid and make what they want to make based on what our cost is. And we've published our cost somewhere around $1.50 a mile. $1.58 is where we are, Chris?
Yeah, but buck 45, buck 55, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I mean, that with maintenance, probably 170, you know, for everything. About $1.70 probably. And that's calculating maintenance on the high side, you know. But listen, these days it's not hard to have a 25% maintenance cost with the price of parts and the quality of service, especially when somebody sets your truck on fire and melts your damn shock tower off.
Listen, somebody just joined on TikTok called Lifetime CDL Training Academy.
Oh, okay.
What's the 12 mean in front of their name?
I have no idea. I can't see them on the TikTok on the program I'm using. Sometimes it'll show me that they joined, but I can't see more than that. Well, you know, we tried to reach out. There was some lady down in Louisiana that had a trucking school that trained on manuals, and I tried getting her on the show, and I never could get a response back.
Yeah, so he just went away, but whoever you were,
Probably
Training
scared them
Academy,
off.
if you have a program where we can have people retrained or retested on a manual transmission to remove this automatic transmission restriction bullshit, can I say that word?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
They're okay with that one.
Then reach out to us because we'd like to talk to you, okay? Larry or Chris at blueribbonlogistics.com. Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com or Chris at blueribbonlogistics.com.
Kyle and I have plans to do some very specific pre-trip oriented videos because we have got to get y'all looking at damn brake shoe lining, wheel seals. I mean, y'all, there is so much low hanging fruit that is really simple stuff to avoid if you'll just get out a flashlight, go to Harbor Freight and buy you a damn $20 creeper and roll around under your truck with a flashlight. I know you're not going to know what a bunch of that stuff is at first, but maybe you will start. If you'll just get under there today and tomorrow and the next day, if something's out of the ordinary, it will stick out to you. If something is wet today that was not wet yesterday, maybe that's a problem. We're not talking about the driver, okay?
A secondary benefit to that is, can you imagine the impression you'd make on a DOT guy if you pulled out a creeper and a pair of coveralls and offered it to him?
Yeah. But that's one of the funny things about the, I got to have a new truck because the DOT cares. The only things that the DOT cares about that they're actually inspecting are underneath the truck. They're the brake shoes, There are the brake drums, the slack adjusters, the wheel seals, the U joints. That's it. That
Travis,
doesn't.
Travis, what do you call that thing? That thing smoke comes out of? I got to make sure. I got to make sure that's there.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Hey,
look, let me go ahead and tell it since the context is there. I get a phone call one day, and Travis said, "Hey, man,
people need to see Travis. Come here, Travis. Come
you,
here.
you know that thing, the smoke come out of on the back of the truck.
I need to introduce. This is Travis.
There he is. You know that thing the smoke come out of?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That motherfucker gone."
A little teaser here. We're going on a road trip here in a couple of weeks to an event down in Oklahoma. You Landstar guys, it's the BCO days. We will all be there, but we're gonna road trip a bunch of people down with me, and so I'm going to interview
Listen,
for
you keep inviting people on this thing. We're gonna have to get a bus.
I'll get a bus. I'm gonna
Hey,
interview.
all right. Well, Richie's gonna want one of those with the pole in it and the really long benches.
Okay. Y'all, my dispatch team needs to pick up the business a little bit. Okay.
Well, we're certainly working on it. It's been listen. It's been a rough 10 or 12 days. It has been ugly out there on these streets, y'all. Holy crap.
It's just numbers, buddy. It's just numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But,
listen.
I'm gonna interview a lot of our people you've never met before for about 26 hours altogether. So we'll have a lot of fun with some folks going down there. Barbara will be the main person we're going to talk to. Barbara's what? Oh no, you can't drive. You're not allowed to drive.
The one thing that will shock you when you get into business is learning how much you will despise holidays. You used to love holidays when you were a kid. Oh, you loved Christmas. Oh, and you loved getting out of school for this day and that day. But buddy, when you get into business, nothing will absolutely destroy your life like a stupid holiday because you're trucking along and you're doing good. And then God help me, here comes a stupid holiday and it just destroys everything because nobody's open. It's awful. I just, oh God, I hate holidays with a passion. And I got somebody got all over me because I wasn't, respecting the. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Well, and it could be worse than that. Now, it doesn't apply to us because of the situation, but if you own a restaurant or something, you got to pay all these people to let them stay home.
Oh yeah.
But you're making no money. You got to pay everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
My best friend hauls fuel and he'll get like double pay on some of this times, so everybody's asking off. He's like, no, I'm gonna work double pay day, Michelle on TikTok says, I see so many guys driving around with blown wheel seals. They're just oblivious. Yes, they are.
they're not
Now,
not oblivious when it catches on fire.
yeah,
They have to bail out.
they will be oblivious until the flames start shooting out from under their truck.
Right.
And then the obliviousness goes away and turns into sheer terror.
There was a fire at the TA in Wheeling, West Virginia. Did you see that?
Was that a tire fire? It looked.
Well, I don't know if it's tire fire.
Yeah, it was a fire though.
But
yeah, it looked like it started on the front and made its way back, but
could have happened. Could have been with a steering seal.
Yeah. There was a BCO that caught on fire here in front of the TA American, and I saw it on Facebook. I didn't know it was a BCO, and I just saw this fireball. And the next day I was on my way home, and I saw this load pop up from Hurricane to Huntington, and I'm like, well, I can do that. Well, I come to find out it was that guy, and he owned his own trailer, and he was from somewhere in Europe, Bosnia, I think. So I picked up his trailer and took it down there, and I helped him get what was left out of his truck. Dude, I smelled like melted Freightliner for like 3 days because we're trying to get like salvage anything we could out of that truck. That was awful. That was nasty. Guy named Harris from Bosnia. All right. Well, it's
Well, shameless plug or two here, okay,
Yeah,
Chris?
let's do that.
Let's talk about the shop first. First of all, remember Pittsburgh Power is our sponsor. If you need diesel performance parts, give them a call. If you're in the area of Pittsburgh, they're actually in Saxonburg, which is a suburb just northeast of Pittsburgh, I think it is.
Yeah,
They've
north.
got a very
Yeah,
they got a very good diagnostic shop there. But we have a shop here in Charleston, West Virginia too, and we do diesel force cleaning. We do MD alignments and suspension work, chassis work. We've got a pretty good engine guy now. He's in the room. Is Kyle here? No.
no,
So if you need these specialized services, come check us out. We do have a couple of trucks that we're looking to put people in for the masterclass program. So if you're interested in learning what we teach, go on our website, look, read it all, reach out to us, and we'll set up an interview to talk to you. And you can learn how to do what we do without having to go get a lease purchase and do all the crazy shit we're talking about.
yeah. So yes, please go to the website, blueribbonlogistics.com. Click on the masterclass, read about it. Please watch at least 4 podcasts. Like just pick 4 at random, and watch the whole thing. A lot of them are have topics, and titles. Some of them don't. They're just whatever we feel like talking about at the moment. But there's a lot of stuff, especially in the early days, that were very, very topic specific. You should go back to, because a lot of those have not changed anything in that amount of time. We haven't changed anything about how we do our business. We've just refined it and made it a little bit better. But please, if you have questions, go to the website. We're probably going to have, by the end of the year, 3 or 4 trucks available. And so I would love to get a few more Barb's and Travis and Jared and Evan and Greg and Jonathan, because these are top-notch people, and I would love to have 3 or 4 more of them. So please do that. We've gone an hour and a half, and I'm about ready, and I've got to get up and do shop work very early in the morning. So, what'd you say? Well, he's not here anymore. But no, no. Listen, you can only have one Richie. Okay, there's that's plenty. That my cup runneth over.
He's our
Well,
lifetime. He's our lifetime limit.
yeah, there only ever needs to be one Richie. It's more than anybody can handle. So I'm good with that. Are you good with that? I'm kind of ready to shut her down. So
Richie will be on a road trip with us too, by the way. So what was that? What was that?
oh, I will. Listen, I'll have a camera with me, and I'll be able to capture all kinds of stuff. I'll probably leave with a blackmail file.
The last time we tried doing this, TikTok shut us down because they thought we were driving while we were doing it.
Well, that's because we were. That was 100% accurate. So there wasn't much surprise there. But yeah. So anyway, I think probably would be best to just record and have the ability to edit, so that
that takes all the fun out of it.
Well,
Want to be authentic.
yeah,
we can't. Plus, we can't field questions if we record.
right. Well, we can. I think there's
going to be lots of questions about some people.
Yeah, I think if we'll strategically do lives at certain times. But yeah, we're going to get a lot of good content from being out there, and I don't know, Helen, we may get just completely thrown out of the building. So that could happen too. So anyway, well, we will be back with let me add this. So I did not do a financial report tonight because I'm doing those now on Wednesday. I've been doing them on TikTok on Wednesday, and then doing it again on Friday. And I thought, well, that's dumb. So I'm just going to do Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube on Wednesday nights to do the financial reports. They'll be a lot shorter than the regular podcast.
We have a comment on TikTok from Chasing Pete 579, which may be part of his problem.
I bet it is.
5 years, the industry has whipped my ass in every which way, looking to get into a good, solid system.
Yeah.
Well, we can help you there, but your name is a huge red flag.
Yep. Yeah, that 579 will 579 and 379 and W9. Listen, Chasing Pete, I would highly recommend you spend some time listening to the podcast. And
I can understand why you added the 579 to your name, though. I got that part.
Yeah. Yeah, those 579s will drive you straight to the poorhouse.
Without the 579, his name would just be Chasing Pete.
Okay. I got you. It was my first truck. I was too attached. Yep. There you go.
Get that way.
All right, y'all. We're going to shut her down. We'll be back with you Wednesday night for financial report, Friday night for the podcast. We'll see y'all then.
Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.